Alrighty, so what I decided to do for this, I really got obsessed with this whole 7 minutes minimum. 7 minutes minimum! Oh my god. So I then decided I was going to tell my life story in 7 minutes, as well as imagining ahead 7 generations and researching back 7 generations. So I like to think really big, and then I thought this weekend I may have thought a bit too big, but I got it together, so it's all good. You can try this on your own. It's kind of an interesting way to try to think, because we're all students here in this school of thought. So you start from the year you were born. For me, it's 1976, and then a generation is roughly, around 25 years in length, so that makes 175 years. So this tale I'm about to tell spans 1801 to 2151. So that's the thought exercise, the thought experiment that I'm working on. And sometimes it is pretty hard to think even 7 days ahead with all of our calendars and our devices and our duties and responsibilities, and it's just so hard to escape linear time. Yes, it is. We live in it all the time. So when I think about that, and I was thinking about this for about 2 months, I thought, linearly, I'm going to try to jump around and think differently, but I'll probably be somewhere close to here. And I've been here for a long time, and my family's been here for a long time, and I plan to be here for many, many years in the future. And the older I get, the more people are really surprised by this. I find myself defending this city and its culture and trying to explain why we are the way we are and how we're different from other cities and how to make the best of this place if you weren't actually born here. It can be a tough place, actually. But my grandmother used to say, Calgary is a great place to be. There's no earthquakes, there's no tornadoes, there's no floods. But, there you go, that used to be true. But they were really sure to buy their homes on a high hill, so, they had some wisdom there. And they say, in 2100, which is not that far away, the sea level could actually rise globally 46 to 86 centimeters. So by that point, my 90-year-old son, because he might live to be 90, I'll have a lot of those people in my family, he might be a scientist. He might be a world-famous poet. And I really hope by that point, he'll have told his kids and his grandkids to start finding some solutions. That'd be great. I'm a really big sci-fi nerd, and this came out quite a bit in this thinking. And one of my really influential books that I read was Robert Heinlein's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. So it's about a moon colony that starts up probably around 2100, actually. So I'm thinking that maybe my granddaughter or grandson will see how hot and crowded it's gotten around here, and they'll just start a moon colony and they'll name it after me, which would be really sweet. And maybe they'll resurrect my old email address, which is harshmistress76@hotmail.com. So I hope that they do that, in my honor. I think that'd be really cool. So this is from a Calgary poem that I wrote for a Single Onion contest. We work hard, we play hard, we get the job done. We are not soft, and we seem incapable of moving slowly or even speaking slowly. I'm very caffeinated around here quite often. We claim every last luxury money can buy, and we marvel at those who don't get in line. As Calgary artists, we often have a collective shame at not getting in on the big bucks. Or we have a deep-rooted guilt about getting our hands into the dirty oil in some capacity or another. But at this time, we are working pretty hard to expand our minds and envision new eggs in a 100-year-old basket. So there's a lot of different industries in the city. There's new ones that we could be exploring all the time. And I was thinking about this a lot, and I noticed that the ability to speak technology is pretty ingrained into my DNA. People actually don't think I'm a techie, and then I surprise them by just going, I know how to fix that. I can do that. I just choose not to. But in 1969, when other people's parents were wearing flowers in their hair, my parents were gigantic nerds, actually, and they were among the first people to work with computers in the oil and gas industry. My dad studied computer programming for 6 years, right along when Bill Gates was doing that kind of thing, and my mom worked at an IBM Fortran and inputted punch cards into giant computers, and we wondered about that for years, actually. She was like, yeah, I used to be a punch card operator, and we were like, oh yeah, I have no idea what that means, but she actually, put in binary code on pieces of cardboard and stuck them in the giant computer so it would calculate things overnight and come up with gigantic mathematical solutions. So it's kind of crazy. My mom is 67, and she said to me recently, and she's not really philosophical usually, but she said, I try so hard not to be enslaved by machines. Yeah, there you go. She still has a flip phone, so it's one way to do it. This industry that we're currently lamenting over, debating over, spilling digital ink over, is a mere blip in the grand scheme of things, of course. There's always been the temptation to get rich quick. My great-great-uncle left Corrieville, at the age of 20 to set out for the California gold rush, and he disappeared without a trace. 100 years later, his great-nephew, my maternal grandfather, opened a gold and jewelry shop over at 222 Burns Building, right over here. And that's where my office is right now, so strange things, right? French is woven in and out of my family like veins of gold. We lose the thread, we pick it back up. Je souviens, je comprends, et j'écoute tellement bien. Even with that French immersion, right? It's still it's in there somewhere. In 1991 to 1994, I served time in Fort McMurray High School. Yeah, it was terrible. When I found out that we had to move up there because my dad got a job up there, I told all my friends in junior high, I'm moving to hell! I'm moving to hell! This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. When I got there, I met some girls on my block, and they said, oh my God, that's what we call it here. It's so funny. Yeah, it's pretty much, if you've never been there, it's Ferraris and double wides, it's Coke and strippers, it's 14-year-old oil princesses selling sunshine acid so you can trip out on the northern lights, and yeah, good times. Bush parties every night, there's underwear in the trees in the morning, so it's kind of a hellhole, and I would never, you could not pay me enough to work there, but that's just my stubborn side. On my father's side, I've heard some tales of my great-grandfather, the first doctor in the family. He was an alderman in Calgary from 1933 to 1936, and I'm quite sure he was a bit of an asshole. I don't think I would like the guy if I could travel back in time. I don't think we would see eye to eye on a lot of our values. I heard this story once that he had a lovely mansion up in Mount Royal, and when people in the Depression would come to the door and say, hey man, like, do you have any money? Can you do anything? Can you help me out here? He would hand them a shovel, say, get to work, do that. And then, there came a day where he tried to open the door and they'd actually piled the snow against it, so he couldn't get out. So there you go. That was a big fuck you to my great-grandfather. A lot of the stories of my grandmothers are kind of lost. I did a bit of research with the Glenbow and looked back at my family tree that my grandfather had actually researched and put together, and there's really not a lot about the women. So I just have to imagine what they might have been doing. I studied at the University of Calgary from 94 to 99, and I don't know, I work with a lot of students at my job, and they love hearing stories of the 90s, because they're so hot right now, and they just don't know what it's like, and I'm like, oh guys, it was kind of a dark time, it was pretty rough. You got into university thinking, I'm going to study art and culture and language, it's going to be amazing, and, you kind of had that sinking feeling that, oh God, I'm never, ever going to get a job in my field. It's just not going to happen. But you get really familiar with the service industry. I didn't really know that was a whole industry, but we're kind of taking that back as a pride thing these days, which is kind of nice, actually. Like, I have to say, we didn't teach her right, but we did end up kind of, pulling a lot of espressos and flipping popcorn bags with grace, if not purpose, scanning clothing tags to bag up other people's impulse purchases. So it kind of hones your class rage, but it does show out. He was one of my popcorn guys right there. I know. It was a good time, but you know what? We hones our class rage and gives us a lot to write about, so there you go. It's good. In 2007, I moved to Tokyo to teach conversational English. I ended up kind of supersizing my homesickness. What I really learned was how to order at McDonald's, because Japanese is really hard. I don't know if you've heard this, but I did take an adult learning class to try to get into it, and they taught you how to count to 1,000,000, which is not very useful at all. But I really learned how to order at McDonald's because, you go in and I would say, kombo, ichi, hai. Oh, okay, sumimasen. You say sumimasen a lot because that means excuse me, pardon me, sumimasen. So, ichi, kombo, ichi, hai, salatu, faraisu, hai, drinku, Coke, no, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, hi, Coca-Cola, hi, yes, thank you, oh my God, I get to eat. So this was good, but after about 4 months, I was up to a size 14, which is the largest size they carry in the entire country. And other people who were there and got to a size 16 had to get their parents to send clothing, ship it from their home country, and I was like, you know what, I can't get to a size 16, I gotta go, so I had to leave. I did write a haiku, though, about that experience, so I compressed in 4 months into 17 syllables. Dull roar, shuffling hordes, daily binge at Mickey D's, Tokyo overload. In 2010, my son Huxley Clarence was born. That's his epic name. He carries the name of my Goldsmith grandfather, The Hopes of a Brave New World. I have a lovely poem written about 9 o'clock last night, I think. So this is a poem for Huxley. Cyborgs are coming to thought. Do androids dream of electric sheep? My boy says he's half machine. The left side, what is right? Will he dream of biological mutant sheep? In a brave new world where we reproduce asexually. Thank you, Paul. That's Paul's poem. That's cheating a little bit, sorry. In 2013, I started writing creatively for the first time since my teen angst days of high school. Here's some lines from my 1992 journal. My life, vast and empty. Features, white space, dimensions colliding without a single handhold. So that's the kind of stuff I would write after eating at Baskin Robbins with my friends. I hope I've improved a tiny bit since then. In 2014, I was pretty much laid off and broke, and I don't really want to talk about that because it's better to talk about the distant past and the far future, but the poets have helped me out a lot. In 2015, I decided to call myself an artist, because if you're going to be lower class, you might as well be a creative class person. So there you go. I wrote my first CV and my first artist statement, and I was like tearing my hair out and like going nuts. And I asked my 5-year-old son, what kind of artist am I? And he said, Mom, you're a business artist. So I like that. In 2125, my son could, in theory, achieve his dream and be a 125-year-old cyborg. That's his current plan. And I could be his virtual cloud mom from 2016, visiting on the weekends and the holidays, and I think that'd be awesome. So I would totally download my consciousness into a hard drive. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, and I've seen just about every episode of Star Trek, and I have this real galactic optimism, so I really think that maybe in 7 generations there will be no war, no disease, cashless society, you know, reproducing like amoebas will just be harmonious with nothing to do but eat, sleep, and create. So here's to that. Thank you.